because we were so reliant on our mother. We were so codependent, all of us, on each other, because we were raised in such a dysfunctional household where we had to stay together to survive.
Yeah.
And our mother was such a rock. I mean, even as a codependent, abused woman, she was strong and she was a rock in a lot of ways. Like, she raised us right, and she would, you know, she would spank us if we needed to be spanked. And she taught us to be respectful, and she was just a good person all the way around. Yeah. So for all that she's been through in her life, she never let it like weaken her in that way.
Right.
I mean, she really didn't. And she never let it completely discourage her or break her. Losing my brother, like, in 2008 when Jody died, I mean, that's the most broken I've ever seen her. And that was hard.
She never recovered from that one.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it broke her. You know what I mean? She still worked. She still retired early. She still had everything. You know, she paid off her trailer. Things
felt different, though, with her.
She definitely had some sorrow, of course. I mean, but yeah, I mean, she went through so much, and it's very sad.
Right.
I mean, it's just, yeah, it's very sad. But all that to say is, my mom then moved out to Parker with my brother and our family.
Arizona.
Yeah, Parker, Arizona. And our family felt a little bit
pulled apart.
Pulled apart. And then Jody took his son Johnny and his son Maddie. Maddie and Johnny left. And those were like our little babies, because, you know, we lived in the house with them for years, helped raising them, because their mom wasn't there. She left. So it was really a sad time in my life. Yeah. But also a very happy time. So, and that can happen. Just like getting divorced from your dad. It was like a sad time.
I don't see why they cried about the divorce between or the separation between your dad and your mom, because I didn't care at all when you and dad.
Oh, I wasn't upset that my dad and mom separated.
But you said your siblings.
Oh, my siblings were upset because our mom was leaving us. I don't think it was as much about my dad.
Wouldn't you be, I don't know, I would feel like you'd be more excited that she's getting away from that abuse than... I mean, it's a sad thing.
But when you're raised up to be so dependent on one another,
right? I mean, different. I get it. I mean, being away from you sucked. When I went to Washington for the month, all I did was want to call you all the time. I was like, I miss my mom. Yeah, this is hard.
Yeah, and now Nene's in Tennessee, and it's hard for her. I know, or my middle child, it's hard for her. Yeah. So, having come from that upbringing, I kind of got led into a relationship with an abusive person. My ex-husband. We had
my father.
Yeah, and we had 3 daughters: Alyssa, Danae, and Kaylee. And we met in 1990 at an apartment swimming pool. I thought he was so cute, and I don't know. It was just kind of everything. Just kind of when you're in love like that, everything just kind of feels fated, and that's how it felt. Like we were just meant to be. You know, his friend Jeff, he like kind of liked me. And then my friend Cindy liked your dad. So it was kind of like they were like working to keep us apart a little bit. So it was kind of interesting how it all came together, and we ended up getting together. Yeah. And he was just really kind of dominant, your dad. So I was 19 and wasn't sure where I was going with life. And I had been dating someone for 2 years.
And how old was he?
He was 19 as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We were the same age. He's 6 months younger than me, but we were both 19 at the time, I think. Oh, he might have been 18. He had just gotten out of jail. So, you know, I was kind of like afraid of him because of that. And also he was in rehab, which I was kind of afraid of him because of that. So before I met him, he was in a family, and he was the oldest child in the family. And he ended up using drugs and getting kicked out of his house a few times and doing crazy stuff. But
when he was young too.
Yeah, when he was young. So when I met him, he was living with his mom. That they were kind of estranged before that. You know, she kind of abandoned them when they were young. And so he didn't really know her very well. Yeah. So he ended up getting kicked out of her house actually while we were dating, and then went and lived with his uncle and ended up getting kicked out of his house and ended up moving in with me and my mom. And my mom hated him at first though. Yeah. Like he's very good looking, and she just didn't trust him at all. And he was riding a motorcycle, and she hated motorcycles. So she like one time like went off and like ripped all the wires out of his motorcycle and hid them. Like, yeah, she was crazy. My mom was nuts. And this is because like the day before she told me I could ride on his motorcycle up the street, and I rode on it. And then he and I the next day got into a fight, and I walked to the park, and he went on his motorcycle to go get me, to go talk to me, and I rode home on it. So she was unpredictable like that. That was the thing about my parents. They were so unpredictable. You would never know what you're going to get beat for.
Right.
You know, like one time I got beat for smoking in the girls' bathroom. But like when I first told my dad and mom that I got caught smoking in the girls' bathroom, I wasn't suspended because the principal said the vice principal was waiting for the principal to get there to decide my punishment. And so they were just like, okay, whatever. They gave me a talking to. And then like a week later, the vice principal came back and suspended me. And when my dad heard I was suspended, he was coming down off of meth. So he beat the crap out of me. And that's when like I realized like, you know, the parents used to always say stuff like, this is going to hurt you more than it hurts me, or I'm doing this for your best interest. When he did that, I was like, this isn't hurting him.
No, it's going to hurt me more than it hurts you, not you more than it hurts me.
Oh, I said it backwards. Well, I'm backwards sometimes. But I realized like that's not true. It's not true at all. Like with when somebody's being abused, that they were abusive.
Right, there's a difference.
That I was being beat.
Clear difference. Yeah.
That this isn't spanking. This is beating, and this isn't in my best interest. Because I was never going to smoke again anyways, you know, so it was definitely not in my best interest. We already had the conversation about smoking. You know, it was really just about, he didn't have any drugs that day and he was angry.
Right.
And he wanted somebody to take it out on. So I got beat for it. So yeah, so that was some craziness in my family. But yeah, so my mom, she wasn't a fan of your father right away, you know. She liked to control me. She liked to control the family, the situation, the dynamic, everything. She liked to be in control. That was how she was. She ruled the roost. She was like Judge Judy. She ruled everything. You couldn't talk. You couldn't speak. You know, she had control of everything. Mm-hmm. And if you had a boyfriend and she liked them, or even if you had one that she didn't like, having 3 daughters, she wanted us to be at our house. So she would let them stay the night as long as we did it under her roof.
Right.
You know, because she wanted us to be there. She didn't want us to be at their houses or around them. Her and my dad had like a rule, like if you want to smoke weed, you can do it, but you have to do it at home with us or whatever. My sister and brother smoked weed with my dad in the garage, and I was like, oh my God, no. No. Like, even if I'm going to try it, I'm definitely not trying it with them. That takes all the fun out of it. Like, and it just seemed too weird to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was definitely like this weird codependency, you know, and I almost wonder sometimes if she was trying to control us and have us stay there because she's afraid to be alone with our dad. You know, or just lose us, which is really sad because ultimately in the end, she did kind of lose us because she got stuck out in Parker without us girls, you know, and my sister found a diary when she passed that said how much she missed us and how much she missed her girls. And we didn't go out nearly enough to visit her. We were all living our own lives with our own kids and
that happens.
Struggling.
And it's a far drive.
Oh, it's only
3 hours, 3
hours.
And then finding the time
and having the gas money. We were always broke.
Yeah,
we were always broke too. We always found an excuse though, and I think that was bad on our part. But at any rate, so I met your dad at a apartment swimming pool, and I thought he was very attractive, and he was. But then I found out he had just gotten out of jail, and he was in rehab. And so we went to Harvest Church, I remember one night, right after meeting, and he was like very serious about me right away, which kind of scared me because I was in a relationship for 2 years before this, and I had no intentions of like being serious about the guy, you know, that I was in the relationship with. And I even thought about like marriage and stuff like that. And I was like, no, you know, I don't even want to do that. And I was in college, so I wanted to do that. That's what I wanted to do with my life.
Right.
But then your dad derailed everything, but you know, I had a choice in it, but I really felt like, and when I say derailed, it really feels like, at least for me, like when you fall in love with someone, it's just like being hit by a train. I mean, it's just like everything felt right and faded and it hurried and like it just needed to get done. And your dad would just say, oh, you know, like we were in Harvest and we went there and the bleachers, and he proposed to me. And he said he wanted to marry me, and I just didn't take him serious. I was like still scared. And then when we left and we were in the parking lot, he's like, I meant what I said. I want to marry you. And I was like, oh, okay, you know. But then he started in on me, let's have a baby, let's have a baby. And then I was really scared. And so eventually I stopped taking my birth control pills. And it was really kind of sad because I told my sister, and I think she told my mom, because all of a sudden my mom was questioning me about it. And my mom tried to lie and say like, well, I checked your birth control pills and I know you're not taking them.
What? That's crazy.
But I knew she was lying. I knew my sister told her. And then she wrote me this long letter, and it kind of made me sad. I don't know if I still have it.
Where were you living at the time?
With her.
She sent you a letter?
She wrote me a letter. and it said how she knows that I want to have a baby, and she knows that I'm trying to get pregnant, but there were so many times in her life that she wanted to give me and my siblings so much more, but she couldn't because we were so poor. Sad. It was really sad. And she's like, I thought you were the one who was going to go to college. I thought you were going to do something, with your life.
Wow, put a lot of pressure on you. I understand the sentiment, but it is a lot of pressure on you.
There was a lot of pressure on me in other ways in the household as well. It's just...
It's not really fair to
put
that on you.
It was the nature of it. Yeah, it was the nature of it. I mean, my mom... I would say, and not to say anything negative about my mom, but I was definitely her least favorite child. I was my dad's favorite child for a long time, but I was my mom's least favorite. And I was kind of shoved off on him. Like at night, it would be like, go to bed with your dad. And then Jody, Tammy, and Randa would be in the living room watching TV. And it's like, they didn't want me in there, Mm-hmm. And so I would go sleep with my dad. And then in the morning I'd get up early and go get my dad's newspaper every day. So my mom was kind of like different with me. But what had happened was, and she told me the story twice, probably more than twice. She's probably told me at least 3 times the story, but it always broke my heart, especially that when I really absorbed it as an adult. She told me that my cousin, Randy, who was my aunt's son, she kind of helped raise him.
Her sister's son. She kind of helped my aunt with him a lot, and he was at our house a lot, and he played with my brother Jody, and they were close. He
was a couple years older than Jody. So when he was 8, my uncle was driving, and my aunt was in the car, and her husband was in the car, and some other people were in the car, even a little girl they were babysitting. And they got in a head-on collision with a big rig. And my aunt's husband died. My cousin Randy died. He was 8. And then my aunt's back, I think, got broke. It was all bad. Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah, it was all bad. So my mom was really close with him. But when she was pregnant with me, he had told her, this baby, you're going to love this baby more than me. Or something like, this baby's coming to replace me, or something weird like that. And so I was 3 when Randy died. And so when I was 3, after Randy died, my mom went through a period of just immense grief. And it so happened that like the day that he died, she had a doctor's appointment because she thought she was pregnant. So she went into the doctor's appointment, and she said to the doctor, I'm pregnant. And he laughed at her and said, I tied your tubes myself. You're not pregnant. And she's like, I've been pregnant 3 times. She was only 24. And she said, I know I'm pregnant. And so he took the test.
Yeah, you and your siblings are all like a year apart, huh? Something like that.
Real close. Yeah, she even lost her teeth from being pregnant back to back.
I know, fast.
Yeah, from not having enough calcium.
Osteoporosis?
Yeah, but my mom drank a lot of soda, smoked a lot of cigarettes, and didn't eat a lot. Oh,
yeah, there was always a 12-pack of Pepsi in the fridge every single time we went out there.
Yeah.
And like a couple cartons of cigarettes just chilling in the fridge.
Yeah, so she basically... I guess Randy basically said that I was like, she was going to love me more than him. And she tried to reassure him. And then, she found out she was pregnant the day that he died with my little sister, and she named her Randa. So of course that became her little baby. And I was really pushed out, and my dad took care of me. Right. So when I was 3, he told me.
Plus you're the middle girl.
Yeah, and being a middle child,
and then you have the oldest sister, and then you, and then the youngest sister. So
yeah, and then my dad told me this story. He told me how like she was devastated, and he had to take care of me. Yeah. So I guess I've kind of got off track a little bit, but we'll get back into my story about meeting your dad and what happened as a young mother and a relationship with a cheating, lying. No, I'm just kidding.
Not really, but yeah.
I'm not kidding. But we'll get more into detail about that on our next episode. We appreciate everyone for listening today.
Thank you.
We hope you have a great week. And that's it.
We're going to talk about a couple of things that we've been seeing in the news, things that have been on our minds regarding substances. There's something new that I just recently saw. It was a video on TikTok of Madonna, and it looked like she was inhaling something, and I was really confused about it because I was reading it's something called poppers, and I had no idea what poppers were, so I decided to look into it a little bit. And I found out that poppers are a slang term for alkyl nitrates, and they're inhaled. They're a vasodilator, and they're a psychoactive drug. They're labeled usually or packaged as room deodorizers, leather polish, nail polish remover, or videotape head cleaner. And those are